A soldier rescued a boy from the flames, but when he heard the words, his heart froze. Step back. Hands where I can see them. David blinked through the smoke, heart pounding. They can't be talking to me. Moments ago, he'd run into a burning building and carried a boy out with his bare hands. Now, officers surrounded him like a threat. The child he just saved had whispered to words, and everything changed. Whispers turned into judgment. Cameras rolled, and the hero became the suspect. This isn't just a story about fire. It's about how suspicion can burn faster than truth. Welcome, story lovers. Drop your city name below and hit like if you're watching. Sergeant David Turner was a decorated U.S. Army medic, known for courage in the field and calm under fire. After 3 tours overseas, he returned home to Atlanta, eager to leave war behind and focus on healing not just wounds, but souls. Now working part-time with the local fire department's crisis team, he found purpose again, rescuing lives, one call at a time. One humid afternoon, sirens screamed through the city as thick black smoke billowed from a low-income housing complex. David, already on site for a community outreach event, didn't hesitate. He rushed into the flames, the chaos, the screams. Inside, he found a young black boy, barely 10, trapped in a corner apartment. Gasping from the smoke, the child reached up. David scooped him into his arms, but as the smoke cleared and flashing lights surrounded them, something else emerged. A quiet tension, not from the flames but from the crowd outside. The child coughed into David's chest as EMTs rushed over. The crowd had gathered quickly, comprising neighbors, reporters, and police. Some cheered, some filmed, but others looked uncomfortable. Not at the fire, at David. You good? A paramedic asked the boy. He nodded, then turned toward the officer beside him. That's when David heard just 2 words. That's him. The boy pointed at David. Time seemed to freeze. What? David whispered, but the officer's hand was already on his radio. David tried to explain. He was the one who'd pulled the boy from the fire, carried him down 3 flights of burning stairs. But that didn't matter. A shaky voice crackled over the radio. Black male child claims he was harmed before fire identifies white male rescuer. Proceed with caution, people began whispering. A few cameras turned toward him. David, in his uniform, with soot on his face and metal tags still on his chest, felt something unfamiliar. Fear. He stood up, trying to speak, but 2 officers flanked him fast. One kept a hand near his taser. Another asked for ID aggressively. I'm with the department, he said, voice shaking. But the protocol shifted. David, a war hero, was suddenly a suspect. The boy looked confused now, frightened by the chaos that had erupted around him. His story is unclear, maybe misunderstood and maybe manipulated, but in that moment, the crowd didn't care. David wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was a white man near a black child during a fire, and that was all some needed to assume the worst. The cuffs clicked shut. David stood beside the fire truck he just used to save a life. Wrists bound, eyes stinging not from smoke, but humiliation. His uniform was still damp with sweat and ash. Phones captured everything. Headlines were forming before facts ever would. The boy cried out, "No, wait." He helped me. But the officers had already moved him away. No one stopped to listen. No one questioned the assumption. David wasn't charged, not yet, but he was removed, questioned for hours, and suspended pending investigation. His reputation? Scorched. What burned David more than the flames was the realization: racism doesn't always wear a hood. Sometimes it wears a badge, or a uniform, or a whisper. And sometimes it buries the truth before it ever gets a chance to breathe. Dear audience, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give it a like, it helps. The investigation cleared him days later. The child clarified he meant someone else, a neighbor. The fire? An accident. David's name was officially restored, but something inside him remained broken. He returned to work, but the firehouse felt colder. The streets felt different. The stairs, the doubt, they lingered, not because of what he'd done, but because of what people had assumed, he stayed in service but began speaking out, not just about fire safety, but about how easily truth can be ignored when race speaks louder than reality. One mistake in judgment, one bias, one moment, and a life's work nearly reduced to ashes. How many more heroes are buried beneath the weight of prejudice before we learn to see truly? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos. Take care.